Hello and welcome to another lesson on learning Wagtail provided by learnwagtail.com. In this lesson, we are going to be creating what I call a miscellaneous page. So it's a page that really doesn't have a purpose other than to show some random stuff. Now you can use this for a uses page. You can use it for, honestly, if you wanted to, a contact page. You use it for all sorts of just miscellaneous stuff. It doesn't really matter where these pages live in the hierarchy in our Wagtail site. We just want a page where we can show some extra information. Now we need to dissect this. First of all, we have some sort of icon in here. Then we've got a title, and we've got some sort of subtitle with seemingly HTML. That is a link, and we can do that one of two ways. And then we've got, I don't know, some rich text. Maybe we want to throw an image or something in there. Keep it nice and simple. So I'm going to open up my terminal, and I'm going to go Python manage.py start app misc. And then I'm going to go into, I'm just going to close this down from the previous lesson and go into base.py, type in misc, and that's going to allow me to use this folder in here called misc. And then we go into our models.py, and here we can create our page. So from wagtail.models import page. Then we do class misc page, and this is going to be coming from a regular Wagtail page. And what did we say we needed? We needed some sort of icon. If we wanted to, I can show you how to do that very quickly, but I'll let you implement that on your own. Otherwise, this is an okay icon for misc. Title and some sort of subtitle. And okay, we went over that already. So what we're gonna do is we're not going to add a title because that already comes with a Wagtail page by default, but we're going to add an HTML subtitle. And instead of using rich text, we're going to use a text field. And we're going to say that max length is going to be, I don't know, 2000. Blank is equal to true, and the help text is going to say this can include raw HTML. Be careful. Now, there are better ways of doing this, and you may want to add some validation and all sorts of stuff in there. Honestly, a rich text field is probably best, but I want to show you a different way of doing things. Next, we wanted body, right? We wanted some stream fields in here. So we're going to add a stream field. Presumably, I can, at some point, spell that right. The stream field is going to be a list with tuples, and in here, we're going to have, well, what did we have before? Let's do blog models. We're going to open up our blog models and our blog page. Hey, look at that. In fact, I'm going to copy that whole thing over, paste, and I'm just going to remove what I don't want. And so content, we've got rich text, great. Image chooser, and maybe we don't want these two in there. And then we need to go ahead and import these things. From pretty close, we'll fix that in a sec. From Wagtail core, we'll fix that in a sec. And okay, so we just get rid of core because that is old Wagtail. And we also need content panels, right? Content panels is equal to page.contentPanels plus some sort of Python list. And we're going to do a field panel and a stream field panel. That's old Wagtail. We just use a field panel now because we're lazy and we can get away with that. And lastly, we need to import the field panel edit handlers, old Wagtail. It's just wagtail.admin panels, which makes sense because we're dealing with panels here. Let's go ahead and save that and see if our terminal has any complaints. None so far. Let's go ahead, make migrations. Python manage.py, we migrate. We've done this quite a few times already, so this is nothing new. Let's go into our admin. And I'm going to go into my home page. Let's add it in here. And we're going to call this /uses. The blog is going to be just use, or not the blog, the slug is going to be uses. The HTML subtitle, let's go ahead and literally steal this whole thing. We want to steal that span. Paste it in there. Ooh, actually, maybe there's a little bit much in there. Yeah, you know what? We're going to keep it. The body is then going to have basically the exact same thing, but it's going to be rich text. So I'm going to copy and paste that in there. This looks okay-ish, good enough. Maybe we want to possibly allow an H2 or an H3. We could do that. We could go in here and we could allow. Let's do an H3. Technically, that's a little bit better for body stuff, I believe. We're going to save that draft, and then because the pages are reloaded, we have an H3. Let's go and publish this page. Now, when we view this page, guess what? Misc page does not exist. Classic. So we're going to go into our misc page here. Not our misc page, but our misc folder. It's our new app, new file. We're going to call it templates with a subfolder of misc. It's the name of the app, and then misc_page.html. And we can extend. Wow, something weird happened there. And we're going to extend base.html. Why is this not syntax highlighting for me? Maybe, possibly, because I need to rename my folder from template to templates. Oh, there we go. Apparently my editor is smarter than I am. Okay, we're going to add a block, content. Then we're going to end said block. We're also going to need to load a couple things in here, or maybe just one thing. Wagtail core tags, and we want to be able to add that content. Now, we have to go back to our original project here and look at this this uses page. Yeah, it's called uses. And we have, this looks like the title and probably content. Kind of making an educated guess there. I'm going to paste that in there and just refresh. It does not seem to be working. So either I've got another typo in there or Django needs a little bit of a kick. I always assume I don't have a typo, which is hilarious because I have tons of typos. And apparently Django just needed a kick. So we need to put that icon in there. Now I had mentioned, you know, I could show you how to do that real quick. The icon would be as easy as icon is equal to models.character field. And then we're going to say the choices are a Python list of tuples, and yep, sure, good enough. What am I missing here? That part didn't quite autofill for me. You go ahead and make your migration. Then in your template, somewhere where the icon is, you would do something like this. Page.icon, and if it's a png.png. And the idea is that it's going to use icon-1.png or icon-2.svg. You might need to add a path in there, and you might need to do something a little bit extra if you're using static as well. But this is typically how we would go about doing this. So I'm gonna static, because that's already in the project, I hope. We're gonna load static, as we always should. This is going to be from /uses to page.title. And instead of this, because this is what we originally stole, we are going to say page.html. What did I call it? Subtitle. Let's go ahead and just undo that real quick. HTML subtitle right there. And we're going to put pipe safe. Now, be careful with that. If you're allowing other people to edit your content, you might want to double check that, have some checks in place, put moderation in there just to make sure that no one is going to accidentally hijack your website. Then in here, we have an area for our string fields. So we're going to include block page.body, and I'm going to make, like I did before, 100 little HRs, and it's just gonna look awful, but it's gonna separate our content from the original content. So our content is up here and the original content is down here. So, okay, so it looks like something is not quite right. So I'm gonna try just adding pros in here. This is a Tailwind thing. We've used it on a different template, and oh, that looks a little bit better. Not quite exactly what we're looking for. The HRs actually show up the way they're supposed to. So this is pretty close. Now, I can tell that this is an H3 and it's bold because when I right click and inspect, you know, the code tells me that. We've got a block in here called rich text. Okay, so I'm going to show you a quick kind of hacky, kind of dirty way of doing this, and it's up to you to do this the proper way. So in here is rich text. We know if I go in here, body blocks / rich text.html, that's the template that we're using. Let's go ahead and open that template. And we have a class in here, a wrapper called rich text. We can now target things because of that using CSS. So I'm going to put some styling in here, and again, do as I say, not as I do. This is not the best way to do this by any means, but we can target rich text, and then we can target the H3. And the original H3 is, we're going to right click, inspect, and we're going to go over here and take a look at some of this stuff. Font weight 600. Let's go ahead and copy that. We're going to copy those two things. We're going to copy that. Padding bottom, we're going to copy that. Good enough. That should make some sort of difference. And I'm just going to paste these in here. Now, ideally, if you're using Tailwind, you'll do this the proper way. But this is a quick and dirty way just to show you how you can kind of target that rich text from this single line. So remember, this line is going to render that rich text.html. We've got a class called rich text, and in any other page, as long as it loads into this template, we can target .rich text and then the H3 in there. So let's go ahead and target this. And that's starting to look pretty similar, hey? Take a look at this. I got to get rid of some of those HRs. We can't see it all on one page. Okay, pretty close. We got a little bit of cleanup to do, but that's pretty close. Same thing, with links, which we did not seem to enable. But you can add that in there as well. That would be super, super easy as well. If we go back in here, we can add a link. Oh, we just didn't paste the link in, apparently. Let's go ahead and edit. And we're going to say MacBook Pro, and this is going to be a link to, it does not really matter, to be totally honest. Sure, homepage. We just want a sample link. Publish. There we go. Okay, that doesn't look bad. It's a little bit too bold, but not bad. Font size could be a little bit bigger. And we can target this as well. So we could say in here, rich text paragraphs, or actually we could just say by default rich text, the font size is going to be, please hold while I figure out how to do this while being recorded. Right click, text large, text LG, here it is right there. And I'm going to paste that right in there. Let's see if this does kind of what I'm expecting it to do. I want the new one to look like the old one, so this should be a little bit bigger. And that just did not work. Oh, maybe it's because it's targeting a paragraph and not the whole thing. There we go. Should be targeting the whole thing. And this will only affect your rich text area, right? So if I right click in here, inspect, I have my block content. This is where all my stream field stuff is going to go, and one of them is the rich text field. I can tell because it has the class of rich text. We wrote that in an earlier class. So if you want to style things like that in Wagtail, you absolutely can. This is actually one of the harder things to do in Wagtail because rich text fields and rich text just in general don't give you a lot of control over the styling unless you want to really hijack and overwrite and do a lot of work with your rich text. I find it a lot easier to just write some custom CSS. Now I'm going to delete this because, again, do as I say, not as I do. Let's go ahead and clean this stuff up a little bit and see what the rest of our page now looks like. That is our page. It's super close. We are missing something. There's a little spacing down here that should exist. I don't know why it doesn't. So we're going to go to inspect and we're going to try to figure this out. I'm just going to highlight over this whole area. And it's not that one. We're getting close. We want to look for some spacing in here. Ooh, right there. That's what we're looking for. And so, did I maybe just not add that in there? Or did I accidentally delete one too many divs? That is a thing that, honestly, I do quite a bit. And I just deleted one too many divs. Haha, classic. So basically, we got the same page going on here. There are some minor differences. First of all, mine is a little bit zoomed in. right? Those little CSS differences, those are going to be up to you to create, to work on. But essentially, we've Wagtailified this site. Now we have one more page. We need to add a contact page. I'm going to show you how that works. Basically, in this lesson, we created a new page, which is cool. We added an HTML subtitle as a text field, and we allowed it to be rendered as HTML. As an example of what it looks like when we don't add safe, it would look like actual HTML. And that's no way to live your life. So we say safe, it works. We got rich text in here. We got some minor CSS changes from the original one, the original template to the new template. But for the most part, it's kind of same. And then if you want to add your own CSS, absolutely do that, but please do that the right way. Don't just inline it or throw it in here, because that is a good way to make other developers and future version of yourself very mad at you. All right, with that said, let's head on over to the next lesson where we create a contact page.